Priti Patel gives a life sentence to migrant smugglers, Boris Johnson introduces voter ID, and the European Union tears itself apart over border control. Hello everyone and welcome to the second program of the day. We have some good news, but be cautious about it. Let's just be positive on the fact that we have some good news from the government today. Firstly, let's talk about Priti Patel and the Home Office. They've decided to step up and actually tackle the problem of illegal migration to an extent. What we have is the Times actually reported earlier today that the Home Secretary is now introducing life sentence to smugglers that bring illegal migrants to the country. Now, there's an issue with the French authorities not really cooperating because there's an agreement between the UK and France to stop the boats from France. That's not happening, and because of the human rights regulations and everything else, obviously the UK government, if they enter our border, they have to take them in and they have to do the process and try to deport them, but then they have the left-wing activist lawyers. There are a number of issues around this, and there are people like Nigel Farage who've been reporting on this to expose this scandal. Now, the latest that we have is that Priti Patel is quite concerned when it comes to the actual smugglers. So if you actually tackle the root of the problem, then we could actually get somewhere. Now, the Home Secretary is expected to announce the move in an attempt to increase from 3 years, the average length of sentence, to actually life. Now, firstly, why was it only 3 before? Because the problem that we have is that the reason I say be cautious is that the longer jail terms are part of a series of measures that will come in place next year in 2022. It's just the beginning of the year. In 2021, we're going to have to wait another year. It's the perfect example of bureaucracy and the state being so slow and incompetent. Of course, there are paperwork, there are procedures that you have to go through, but really, next year, when we have this problem right now, again, I'm grateful that they're trying their best, fine, happy news, but we still have to wait another year to actually for this to start happening. So that's why I said be cautious. Again, we have to focus on the fact that Priti Patel is trying her best, and I always go with the whole mentality of I'll believe it when I see it, as you guys know. But the issue is that everything's happening so slowly. At least they're trying their best. Now, 87 migrants crossed the channel on Saturday, a couple of days ago, pushing this year's total to 531, 40% higher than at the same time last year in 2020. A further 51 attempts to cross the channel on the same day were intercepted by the French authorities. Well, thank you so much, French authorities, for trying your best. The crossings come in spite of the French stopping 3/4 of small boats before they reach British waters, a higher rate than last year. So they're trying to spin it, saying that at least the French are doing slightly better than last year. Well done, congrats, but not good enough because it's still happening. And I know it's not an easy thing when you're dealing with the channel, but at the same time, you have two sides. They have to work together. If the intention is to help, then do it. If the intention is to actually leave them, bring them to the country, that's a whole different problem. Now, Home Office sources said the move would send a clear message that the government considered smuggling people in small boats to be at basically on the same rate, on the same level as higher crimes. They've said that we need to be sentencing people on the basis that this is practically the same as a higher crime, which is good. Finally, this is how you actually deal with the problem that's affecting our society. So firstly, they say that the plans actually aim primarily at increasing jail terms at the lower end, such as the criminals who are steering the boats. So the ones who actually come with the migrants towards the country, because they have the actual overlords in their bases, wherever they are. It's slightly harder for them to actually get them. But again, what's the point of MI6 and our security forces to actually help with this? It's your job to protect the country, even if someone is not actually on the boat. People like Nigel Farage recently reported that a number of people who are coming on these boats are being tested, and they test positive, so they're added to the new cases. And we know how concerned the government is. Every time new cases they're added to the data, they freak out. So what are you doing? Stop them from coming in so they don't test positive. Simple as that. But again, the issue is that everything's happening so slowly. I am very positive about the fact that the Home Secretary has done this, so well done. but I just wish that this could happen faster. Now, speaking of process, we do have some more good news. We've been criticizing this government a lot recently, but let's talk about some of the good news again, because the Telegraph reported that Boris Johnson is going to introduce voter ID finally in this country. Common sense. But the same Telegraph also published this article spinning it, saying that American civil rights campaigners and groups have criticized this. What's their American opinion on voter ID in the UK? Fair. I mean, we should just listen to them. Yeah, because left-wing groups in America should have a say when it comes to British domestic politics. There's a difference between the American system and the British system. There's a huge difference between the states that you have in America, and each one of them operates separately, than the United Kingdom. In this country, almost everyone has some sort of ID already. You either have your driver's license, national insurance card, birth certificate, anything that you have. This country has gone so statist over the last few decades that you will have some sort of paperwork to prove. This is good news that the government is doing this. The issue, again, we have is that it's happening slowly. Firstly, a cabinet office spokeswoman has said that the policy will combat the inexcusable potential for voter fraud in the UK, which is good. Yes, it's absolutely true. When we've had situations in Peterborough, we had situations in Tower Hamlet, and in certain other places as well, it keeps happening, especially on a local level when it comes to left-wing bases like the Labour Party. It keeps happening. So the problem is that Sylvia Albert, who's the director of voting and elections at Common Cause, one of these left-wing groups, has told The Guardian, yes, The Guardian, that they try to say that they want to protect the integrity of the election, but the reality that our elections have strong integrity. They're saying that, there's a point about you're trying to protect the integrity of elections, but in reality, it's actually you're creating discriminatory systems. Not really. That's not really the case. And even the cabinet officers are aware. They're trying their best to make sure that it doesn't really affect anyone in that sense. The problem, again, is that you have the European Union on the other side. And we have more good news about this because on the one hand, the voter fraud is actually going to be happening slowly. 2023, I believe, is going to be introduced. Another slow process. While that's happening, Guy Verhofstadt in the European Union has become a Brexiteer. So everything's happening slowly. The Home Office, that's going to take a year to introduce the life sentence. The voter fraud is going to take a couple of years to be introduced, slow. But Guy Verhofstadt turning Brexiteer, happening quickly. So he's actually tweeted saying that the United States approved Johnson & Johnson vaccine. What is the European Medicine Agency waiting for? So he's now criticizing the EMA and the European Union's institutions for being slow. Well done. Now you know what we were talking about, Guy Verhofstadt, when we say the European Union is slow on everything. The UK government is also slow, as you can see. All governments are, but the European Union is on a whole different level. And Guy Verhofstadt has finally discovered this. When we know that these guys are obsessed with these vaccines, yet 80% of the European Union's 6.1 million AstraZeneca jabs are still sitting unused in stockpiles, as 130 poorer countries are waiting to receive just one dose. This is shambles. This is absolute shambles when it comes to European Union's management. So while we criticize the Home Office and the Cabinet Office for being slow on domestic measures, look what's happening in Europe. Now, they're currently in a massive infighting because certain countries in Europe, including the top country, Germany, have decided to go independent and go with their sovereignty to strengthen their border control during the current pandemic. And Brussels are not happy about this. They've started their legal action. They love their legal actions. Every couple of days they start a legal action against one of their own member states. Now they are threatening legal action against 6 member states for their strict border rules. Oh, wow. Countries that care about their own borders. Even Germany cares about their borders now. Same Germany that did open their doors in 2015 now care about their borders. So the European Commission have said that Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Hungary, Finland and Sweden have put rules on their borders that are too restrictive. Interesting that Brussels is now going after Belgium. The irony in this whole situation. So everything's now kicking off in the European Union. They don't know exactly how to create this unity. And obviously right now we are just worried about our own situation in this country. So thank God for Brexit. Thank God we're not in this mess with the rest of the EU 27 member states. That's what we have for you guys today. Now, finally, in today's segment of News in Your World, we have a story that's started quite harsh from one of our subscribers, Miguel Hayworth, who told us his sad story. Throughout his life, he's faced a lot of difficulties, and when he was a kid at school, he obviously was not treated well because he had some undiagnosed learning difficulties, disabilities. Even when he grew up, when he had jobs, he couldn't actually do them properly. He left a lot of jobs. He got sacked from a number of roles until he met his wife. That actually encouraged him to be more positive and boost his confidence. And again, a few years ago, he lost another job and he decided to go to the government to get some support. The government eventually gave him a grant as he drew up his plan for his own small business idea. And at the same time, while that was happening, he fell and broke his spine. So that delayed the whole process. A lot of ups and downs in his life, but eventually he managed to start his own small business. He said that the idea that I called Sweet Victory Products Limited was created because my mother was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which she found hard at first. She loved her sweet treats, and going cold turkey sent her into despair. Now, all this happened. Right now, this small business is doing really well. Specifically, he said that during the lockdown, since this whole thing started in 2020, actually, his sales, he said, my sales have gone up. But I want my story to be an encouragement to those who run small businesses that anything is possible. Even more so, if you have disabilities, they should not limit you in anything you put your mind to. So do not let lockdowns get in the way of reaching your potential. This is an absolutely brilliant story, Miguel, and I'm glad that you and your family are doing really well, because as he was telling me the story, even when he started his own business, at first, he didn't make any money, but he kept going and going. And the issue is that a lot of times it happens when you're not really diagnosed with your hidden disabilities. And it took him a few years to actually discover that. Now he's doing really well. So thank you so much, Miguel, for sharing us your story. We could have a lot of these positive stories. If you guys want to get involved, you always can send your stories to lacey@mytc.co.uk. And don't forget, like Miguel, send us any photos or videos related to what's happening as well. Thanks again for watching. If you want to support the channel, do not forget to click on the thumbs up button and like. That will help us boost the channel and the videos that we do. Thanks again for watching. I'm MyTC, and I'll see you guys in the next video.